What's up, people? We are back with more Sherlock Holmes as we need to look further into the archives. Use the article to search about antiques. The 5 rams of Mytilene, I don't know. It could be... Let's start from the very beginning. Research. Not blood test, poison or toxins, nope. Criminalistics. It wasn't there either. Martial arts, nope. It's about, this is probably the keyword, Mytilene. Religious symbols?
That is not the one I need. That is probably not the one I need. Oh.
Hellenistic treasures. Oh, right. We just have to look through the newspapers. 1885. Hellenistic treasures stolen. A treacherous theft. The Hellenistic treasures were stolen yesterday evening while being transported by cab on their way to the British Museum to the Glassford Fine Art Exhibition. Pawn shop owner Kenneth Butler contacted Scotland Yard at night and provided information regarding a gentleman who had attempted to sell him a collection of historical art at his pawn shop in Church Street. The police have since captured the described man, a professional thief by the name of Vincent Foley, who had been in the process of escaping London via the port. He was recognized by the surviving driver of the cab that he had transported the collection of Hellenistic treasures. Vincent Foley refused to confess as to where the remainders of the treasures were hidden. He was eventually imprisoned. The lost treasures are still to be found.
Here it is. One of the victims, Kenneth Butler, was involved in the story of the stolen Hellenistic treasures. A visit to his pawn shop should tell me more.
Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Alright, find a use for the key. Alright, that's probably something inside his pawn shop then, I'm assuming. So let us go over there. Take a visit, even though probably nobody is there present, which is good for us because then we can just sneak and snoop around all that we want, because that's kind of what we're all about. That's what we do, that's what we're good at. Might this be the shop? It might not be. Ballard's Pints. Nope. Pawn shop. Butler's pawn shop. There we go. Use key.
Mr. Butler's key matches the lock perfectly.
Perfectly. Right. Shelves. Examine. Let's see what he has in here. Nothing?
Crampons and a sharp ice axe would only be brought here by a mountaineer.
Mountaineer. Someone that climbed the Himalaya or something. Or Mount Everest. Even though we're in Britain, that doesn't matter. Do they have mountains in Britain? Probably not, right?
A flare pistol. Perhaps it was pawned by a destitute sailor.
It's gotta be hard to find clues in a pawn shop though, because so many people just come here. All different kinds of people. Left drawer. Necklace.
The ram's head. This necklace belongs to the 5 rams of Mytilene collection.
Mytilene.
Interesting. That means that Kenneth Butler owned a part of this collection all this time, 10 years after the theft.
What about the letter? Hello, Kenneth. I remember you once told me about 3 pieces of golden jewelry with ram heads from ancient Greece. You still got them, right? Well, good news for you. I found a man loaded with money who's crazy about those jewels. He's ready to fork out a small fortune. I can arrange a meeting with this money bag for you, but I want you to cut me in on the deal. I'll be waiting for you at the crossing of Great Alley in the Half Moon Street on Sunday evening before the fireworks. Ryan Vercotti. Oh. So that's why they were meeting. 2 long lost art. Okay, that has nothing to do with anything. 2 victim different shots. That has nothing to do with it either. 2 victims. Burglary motive. The search for the missing Hellenistic treasures could be the motive for the crime that was committed in Half Moon Street. Mr. Turner picked up the bracelet directly after the murder, but the ring is still missing. Alright, the right drawer.
It looks as though Mr. Butler kept a careful record of his operations.
That's very useful for us. Is there anything else? Can we not look into the accounting book? Apparently not. There doesn't seem to be anything else on the counter here. Cannot look into that drawer. Shelves.
A flare pistol.
It is only an object of interest, but we cannot use it yet. This place is so small, yet it's cluttered with so many trash, I guess. But there are barely anything that we can find here, apparently. Alright, that's about it for here for now at the moment. So, investigate the crime scene. Let us keep investigating the rest of Half Moon Street before we go back to Scotland Yard and interrogate Leighton. So it seems like right before they were murdered, they were meeting up to sell parts of the RAM collection, of the collection of Mytilene. They were meeting up to try and sell that with Mr. Moneybags or whatever. But strangely enough, when they were killed, the object was still on them.
What's up with you, lad? What are you waiting for?
The
I'm
bracelet,
waiting for
at
my
least.
brother to be released.
Your brother?
The one that you caught, beat up and imprisoned.
Ah, the murderer.
He ain't killed no one, copper.
Watch your mouth, lad, else you'll be joining that worthless brother of yours.
Watch your mouth, Constable.
It would be my pleasure to assist you with your investigation, Mr. Holmes.
Nope, don't need your help. You're pretty useless. Alright,
I'll
Wiggins.
do anything to save my brother, Mr. Holmes.
I know you do. I just kind of want to talk to Mr. Turner again. Huh? You lying piece of shit.
That's why it's better to stay at home at night.
Yes, just stay seated over there, right there. Don't move. And even if you do move, I'll probably catch you because you'll be limping. But regardless, stay where you are. Alright, we have to talk to this woman. Polly Powell.
Mrs. Powell?
What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes.
My, that's quite the
I'm assisting
attitude.
the police with their investigation of the crime that took place this evening.
Well, I've already gave my testimony, but very well.
She looks very similar to Teresa, the maid. I mean, look at the attitude on her. I was like, Miss Powell? And she was like, you what, mate? Alright. Character
My
portrait.
thanks to you, Mrs. Powell.
Oh no, we don't need to do a character portrait apparently. Her testimony.
Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
Yes. I was selling my flowers as usual, and then the fireworks began, in honour of Queen Victoria. I enjoyed those. But then, all of a sudden, a young lad ran out of Half Moon Street and stopped just by me. He had a gun in his hand. He was like a ghost, and all covered in blood. It was dark, but I could see him, because of the flashes from the fireworks.
And then?
I screamed as loud as I could. I knew that a policeman should be on duty in the vicinity. He had no time to escape. 2 constables got him. Then another constable came out from the very same street, and I heard him talking of a horrible murder.
Mrs. Powell, did you hear the gunshots?
I'm not sure. You know, what with the fireworks?
Anyone else?
Did you see anyone else leaving Half Moon Street, prior to or at the time of the crime?
No, sir, I did not. Even with all the fireworks, I was very attentive, as I'm always on the lookout for customers.
My thanks to you, Mrs. Powell.
Okay, well that is done with the investigation over here. Wow. I don't know why, but I really like these streets of like these very old streets of the London town. Even these weird dark alleys. Okay, these ones not so much. These ones not so much. But like just this main street with all these attached houses. I don't know. It really has that old feel to it, which it looks pretty at least. Okay, antique necklace. We should interrogate Leighton back at Scotland Yard. Don't be so serious, Watson. It's only a double murder.
Mr. Holmes, whatever brings you here so late at night?
I'm interested in the case of young Leighton Chapman. He was arrested earlier this evening and accused of a double murder.
I beg your pardon? That case is quite clear to the police. Or are there any new facts that we don't know about?
Who knows, Inspector?
Look, you are free to investigate, of course, Mr. Holmes. Chapman was arrested with a revolver in his possession, which you can find in the evidence room. The suspect himself is in custody.
Did you find anything else on his person?
A few personal belongings. Nothing particular, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Lestrade.
Nothing particular for you normal police officers, but for a brilliant detective like myself, or Sherlock Holmes. I'm pretty sure we can find something. Okay, never mind. It's just an apple and some cigarettes.
So this is the gun that Leighton was holding when he was caught by the police. It is a Webley revolver, a reliable weapon. It seems as though the shells were not removed from the cylinder.
Let's look right up the barrel. That's what smart people do. One bullet. Oh, two. Okay.
2 out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots.
Okay, so that matches. Leighton's revolver. 2 victims. Double murder. Kenneth Butler and Brian Vercotti were the victims of a double murder carried out by one person. Is it one person though? I kind of have my doubts. There's another one? Leighton's revolver, different shots. Simultaneous shots. Turner could hear the contrast between 2 fired shots, as in fact 3 shots were made. At first a single shot was fired and then 2 guns fired simultaneously directly afterwards. Firing position. Turner could have heard the contrast between the fired shot as they were made from different points in Half Moon Street. They were standing quite close to each other. So I'm at the moment I'm kind of leaning towards simultaneous shots, even though this points out to be wrong. I'm gonna stick with simultaneous shots for now. As unlikely as that may seem,
bought with his own
I'm kind of
money,
leaning
no doubt.
towards that at the moment, but obviously until
These
we
cigarettes
actually
are filled with cheap tobacco. Nothing interesting.
get more clues, we will be able to come up with more deductions, so that should put more of the puzzle pieces together. Right, that's where Lestrade is. Let me talk to the young lad.
please escort this suspect for interrogation?
Interrogation.
Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
Who are you? I've got nothing to say. It's all a mistake.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins has told me.
My brother? You know him? Then that means you're...
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, blimey. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell you everything.
Good, because that's what we want. We want the truth and nothing but the truth. That's one ugly car, in the sense that the event that must have happened for this scar to occur must have been pretty ugly. Not saying that his appearance is ugly. I mean, sure, it doesn't look too appealing or something. Downtown fashion, cushy job, office clerk. So he grew up on the streets. Oh, prison tattoo. Past imprisonment, committed a crime. So that's something he and the victim have in common. Bruises. Recently beating, resisting arrest, hot-headed. Alright, tell me your story, your life story. I'm all ears.
Good. Tell me your account of what happened.
I left my work and I hurried up to see the fireworks in Whitechapel. I was late, so I decided to cut through Half Moon Street. I saw the first fireworks light up in the sky. I bumped into a constable on the corner before entering Half Moon. Then suddenly, what with all the firework flare, I saw two men. They were both lying flat in the middle of the street. I stopped where I was. I thought about turning back to the police, but as I was thinking of that, I saw a third person. He was leaning over the body that was furthest from me. The second I saw him, he raised his head and he stared at me. In a flash, I saw his gun, but he made a dash for it instead and he escaped through Whitechapel Street.
Okay, so that can't be Turner then, because he said he took a dash, so that means he ran. Mr. Turner can't run, so it's definitely not Mr. Turner.
So you might still have had
right
time
about
to
what he's
return
saying.
to the constable.
I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I approached the bodies just to see if they were still alive.
Bad
Saw that
move.
one had blood pumping out of his stomach. He was dying. It was horrible. The second one was already dead. He had a hole in his head. He was holding a gun in his hand though. I took it, and then I followed the third man.
Oh, why would you take the gun? That's... oh, God. I know you grew up on the streets, but you don't take the gun when two people are murdered. You just don't grab it. You don't touch anything. You don't want... especially if you're innocent, as you say that you are. You just do not touch anything. You're like, copper, you call the police guy, and then you just do not touch anything.
Interesting. Pray, continue.
I turned a corner, and I saw the man standing in the middle of the street. He seemed to be in some sort of panic. And then, Mr. Holmes, something strange happened. I told the police and they laughed at what I said, but I swear to you, my words are true. I started running towards him. But then I was blinded by a flash. It was so bright that I hardly saw anything for a good dozen seconds. But I kept running forward. As I arrived in Whitechapel, I heard a woman screaming. And then I was caught by the police. But there wasn't a trace of that man. Of course, then they found a gun and all that blood. I couldn't see the murderer escaping and all that mess. Perhaps I was still half-blinded at that moment.
A thrilling account, my young man.
So it was a ghost murder.
Leighton, are you able to describe the person whom you saw standing in Half Moon Street?
Well, I wasn't able to see his face at all. It was too dark, and he was too far away. I could see his silhouette.
And what about that?
Nothing so special. He was wearing a jacket. He was quite average in size and his weight.
I see. Was there anything else that struck you at the time?
No. But perhaps it's strange, but I can't remember the sound of his footsteps as he was running away. Perhaps it was because of the fireworks or the surprise of me seeing him.
Yeah, why the hell did you follow him? Unless you know who he was, why would you follow him?
Leighton, I confess I am puzzled. Why should a young lad like you take a gun from the hands of a dead man and set off in pursuit of a probable killer?
I know. I keep wondering that, but at the time it was like a reflex. A criminal ought to be arrested, and he was armed.
You were willing to risk your life. That was a little foolish, unless you wanted revenge.
No, Mr. Holmes. I was just being brave and stupid.
Really now? I mean, him and the victim both are Westgate prisoners. That's something they have in common.
I'm sure that you were, but I believe that you may have recognized one of the victims, Brian Vercotti. You knew that gentleman well, did you not?
However could you know that?
You have a typical tattoo of the Westgate Brotherhood upon your hand. I observed exactly the same mark upon Mr. Vercotti. You came to know him from your sharing a past prison sentence. Am I correct, Mr. Chapman?
God. You're right, Mr. Holmes.
So much for telling me the fucking truth then, isn't it? He's like, yeah, I'll tell you everything, I'll tell you the truth. And then he lies right in front of my face.
Would you tell me about Brian Vercotti?
We were convicted for a robbery. Once in prison, both of us joined one of these fraternities. During that year, we tried to help each other out, you know?
You were quite young then, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we were. We'd only stolen a pound of meat. After we were released, and when I saw what my little brother had become, I decided to work towards living an honest life.
And Vercotti?
He had a hard time. His sister had died in a Whitechapel dispensary while he was in prison. He had no family anymore. Our paths split. He fell back into crime.
So you lost him?
Yes. And for around 2 years, I heard no news of him at all.
We shall see you soon, young man.
It's deduction time. Right, so... Common statement is the only person who was seen entering. Old acquaintance, lootless, had nothing of any value when he was caught directly after the crime. Long lost art. Old acquaintance, 2 victims. No? His statement, common statement. Imaginary man. The person whom Leighton Chapman describes in his statement is a figment of his own imagination, created to vindicate himself. Is that true? Then if we change this, that all seems to be correct right now. Wait, revolver lootless? No. Long lost art. Is there any more deductions we can make? It doesn't seem like it, otherwise there would still be a sign up there, which there isn't. Alright. There was a possible crossfire between Kenneth Butler and Brian Vercotti at the Half Moon Street. Examine the bodies and perform a reenactment. I'm gonna go back to Half Moon Street. I mean, at least it makes more sense than the fact that he picked up the gun and then tried to, you know, if someone that you know has been killed like that and you see the victim getting away, especially, I mean, a person who is already somewhat of a criminal. I mean, he was in jail previously, so he is a convicted felon, would probably be more inclined to do something like that, or someone who just, I don't know, it's just the type of people. Some people would just be, even if it's someone they know, they would just be so shocked that they would call the police. Some people would try to get revenge, would try to go after the killer or whatever, so... And that's at least the path that this man took.
Why are you looking at me all the time like that?
I'm just watching you, lad. I never know what to expect from people like you.
People like me?
Yes, street beggars and thieves.
I ain't a thief.
Oh no? Then where did you get whatever it is that you're gnawing on? I very much doubt that you bought it.
What ain't seen can't hardly be stolen.
God, that guy is acting like such a douchebag to Wiggins. Alright, one of the possible victims fired his gun twice. Find out who it might have been. Select the gunman. What the hell?
I am unable to see any higher. I need to find something to lift my lamp.
Oh, we got that. We got that. Where is it? Did we find it here? A pole.
This should be useful.
Alright, so he shot one of the bullets through his head and the other one possibly in the wall. What's that?
Nothing interesting here.
So he wasn't... What about this guy? Is there a bullet in here? Bullet
This
impact.
is most definitely a bullet hole. The brick cracks are fresh. Watson, there was a third shot fired in this street.
Third shot, Leighton's revolver. Wait, that should mask. There were only 2 shots. Okay, never mind. Third shot. Old acquaintance, 2 victims. Crossfire. Kenneth Butler and Brian Ricotti both died of crossfire, with each of them holding a gun. One of the guns is now missing. Were victims of a double murder carried out by one person. It's either one of those. This one seems to be the correct one, according to these other. So if we did these simultaneous shots with the crossfire, it all seems to be wrong for now. Alright, then we'll do it like this because it looks prettier. I like blue better than red. There's more deductions to make? Okay. What else? Third shot. Leighton statements. Disappearing man. Leighton Chapman's statements regarding the jacketed man who disappeared at Half Moon Street now seems reasonable, as the 3 shots at the crime scene proved the presence of a second gun that is now missing. Reenact Marrow's pursuit with a lamp. Talk to Constable Marrow and find out who it would have been possible to miss someone hiding in the shadows. Yeah, tell me, Constable douchebag. How could you?
Constable Marrow, I would value your assistance in this investigation.
It would be my pleasure, Mr. Holmes.
I would like to make sure that there are no places in Half Moon Street where a man could hide while you were running through it with your lamp.
All right, Mr. Holmes, what should I do?
Take your lamp and start walking, just as you did before, and try to find me.
Understood.
We're gonna play fucking hide and seek. Alright, so we gotta hide somewhere. Where are we gonna hide? This is not a good place. Behind the bags, nope. Oh, there you
I
are.
can see you very well, Mr. Holmes.
All right, Constable. Let's try again. I'll find another place to hide.
So we have to find him. I thought we were playing as Sherlock Holmes. There
Here
you are.
Mr. Holmes.
All right, Constable. Let's try again. I'll find another place to hide.
He's not in here, not over there. I thought we had to hide for a second, but nope. Sherlock is the one who is hiding. himself. Huh. Let me guess, 3rd time's the charm? Ah, there you are.
Mr. Holmes, it wasn't difficult to find you at all.
It is obvious now. No one could escape Constable Marrow's lamp while hiding in the street.
Alright, another deduction to make. Corners and sides. Leighton statements. Up the walls. If we can assume that there was one more person in Half Moon Street at the time of the crime, that there was no way forward or back for his escape, only up. Let us reenact the action, recreate the fireworks described by Leighton, and attempt to climb the wall.
It would be my pleasure to assist you with your investigation, Mr. Holmes.
Alright, so it says we need to find a flare gun as well as climbing tools, but we're gonna do that in the next video. So thank you very much for watching, as this case is actually getting pretty interesting. The fact that one person just somehow seems to have disappeared in just an alley like this, and the only way seems to be up so far. So yeah, we're gonna try and find that out in the next video. Alright, peace.